This is our 49th episode of Let's Do Lunch, the show where we talk about the business of entertainment. Before I introduce our panel here today, let me remind everybody to introduce yourself in the chat. Oh, there we go. Our first chat post from Digital Media Wire. When you do introduce yourself, make sure to go to the drop down and set it to panelists, all panelists and attendees so that everyone can see your post. Also, if you have questions for the panel, please put them in the Q&A just to the left of the chat, and we'll be trying to take as many questions as we can today. All right, we're going to bring on Colin Dixon, Chief Analyst and Founder at nScreenMedia.
Welcome. It's good to see you, Ned. How are you?
I'm doing great. Who's on the show today?
Well, we are really fortunate because we have Kasia Jablonska, who is Head of Digital and Distribution and Monetization at Endemol Shine. And we have Katherine, who is Vice President of Business Development at VIZIO. So ladies, please join us.
Have a great show.
Thank you. As Ned said, please remember to enter your questions into the Q&A window. I am monitoring that window. I have it right up in front of me, just to my left. And if I can, I will insert your question into our conversation. So please do that. I am very, very excited to be talking to both Kasia and Katherine this morning because I got to tell you, this is a subject that is very near and dear to my heart. For a long time, there was a lot of belief that linear channels were just going to die out and be replaced by mostly on-demand viewing. And guess what? That's not happening. And so that's what we're talking about this morning. Just to give you a little bit of context of where we are with connected television, 80% of US TV households have an internet-connected TV device. This is according to Bruce Leichman at Leichman Associates, and that's up from 74% last year. 40% say they use their connected TV device on a daily basis. And 58%, most people are using a smart TV to do that. 56% have a standalone TV connected device. So smart TVs are becoming an increasingly important, and they are the most important, one could argue, connected TV device. So this is a very important conversation because we are going to be talking about one of the newest distribution mechanisms for content that has arrived, and I think it is probably the easiest way that you can consume content. But enough of that, let's get to our panelists. So Katherine, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what VIZIO is doing with their smart TVs.
Thanks so much, Colin. Thanks for having us here today. Really excited to be here and talk about what's going on in the industry. So as you said, I am Vice President of Business Development, heading up business development and strategic partnerships at VIZIO. I've been here a little over 7.5 years now, and VIZIO is the TV OEM based in the US with the #2 connected TV footprint here in the United States, with over 13 million devices out there in the market that give us this amazing gateway to get content directly into consumers' homes. As a part of those TVs, we are distributing our SmartCast operating system. That SmartCast operating system has a whole bunch of things baked in and built in right from the minute that a user powers on their device. And a couple of those are those free offerings that we have that don't require logins, don't require subscriptions, don't require fees, and they enable users to turn on their TV and through our Watch Free offering and our VIZIO Free channels, access over 200 different free streaming channels, again, without fees or subscriptions. So we're really excited to continue to expand that offering to consumers here in the US.
Yeah, and boy, are they easy to access. They caught me this weekend. I ended up spending an hour watching Arrival on one of the channels on your TVs, and what a great movie that is. And I guess a testament to how powerful the linear viewing is. So Kasia, please introduce yourself, and maybe you can just remind people who Endemol Shine is, and then we'll get going with the conversation.
Of course. So first of all, greetings from London. slightly in a different time
It's a bit
zone.
late
But
for you,
really,
isn't it?
well, it's not that late, 8 o'clock. So as I said, usually I was thinking about bringing a glass of Prosecco, but I thought it's just probably would look a bit too strange. Anyway, so I'm Kasia Jablonska. I'm head of digital and monetization at Endemol Shine, and we are one of the world's biggest independent producers and distributors, with over 68,000 of hours sitting in our catalog. We have over 4,000 registered formats, and we have such household IPs as MasterChef, Big Brother, Deal or No Deal, Wipeout, or Peaky Blinders. My division, the digital team, sits along the more traditional content distribution team. We utilize the same catalog, but my division is responsible of developing partnerships on a revenue share basis. We started quite small about 3 years ago with social platforms. At the moment, we have over 20, almost 25 partnerships in place across multiple platforms, and VIZIO is one of our newest and one of our most exciting partnerships.
Very good. So why don't we get started with I guess this is a question that I think I've asked most of the participants in the business of streaming webcasts. And that's basically how is your business doing during shelter at home, shelter in place, and all of this, the viewings from people staying at home. So Kasia, why don't we start with you? How's your business doing? What's going on?
So obviously the more sort of traditional production side of Endemol Shine business unfortunately suffered, like with similar other production companies, which put a lot of more pressure on the content distribution side of the business. And together with our colleagues in sort of traditional licensing, we've been working really hard putting this catalog to work. And actually it's been quite an amazing experience for several reasons. So obviously, first of all, the viewing just shot up. We suddenly had just, amazing viewing numbers coming through. However, as you can imagine with a lot of other companies, the advertising didn't necessarily come through at the same time. However, we very quickly realized what's the advantage of working with connected TVs, which actually are plugged into programmatic advertising. This is where the advertisers, when they were really afraid of spending big budgets, committing themselves to spending big budgets, they actually preferred to go with programmatic exchanges because there was no commitment. They could spend that money as they went along. So in a way that already showed us what a big advantage working with CTVs is. And the other thing is just a proof that just being self-reliant, digitized. We have our sort of internal media ops team, which manages, at the moment, it's about 100,000 assets of sitting in the cloud. And we sort of, on monthly basis, we distribute about 1,500 assets. And to our huge sort of relief, it turned out that the sort of investment in the cloud, investment in technology actually pays off, because we were just able to continue delivering that content. And again, work with platforms like VIZIO actually proved to be amazing in that space, because they were just able to pick up this content without, having to redo those files, and we just launched without any problems.
Did you find that there was an uptick in interest in licensing during this period? Because one of the problems, of course, with production shutdown is people started to run out of content.
Yes, we saw, my colleagues in a content licensing team saw the big sort of uptake on the content licensing as well. So that side of the business, monetization of catalog, was actually going really, really strongly.
Yeah. So you lost the production stuff, but the more value in your library stuff. So that sounds very positive. Katherine, so how did things go? One of the things that's so clear when you get into the interface, you have that wonderful hero bar at the top, and you put free assets right in there, which is how I found Arrival and how I ended up losing an hour of my life on Saturday watching that great movie. So is that working for everybody?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to piggyback off of what Kasia said, as far as the interest in this space, it's just continuing to grow, both from a business perspective and from a consumer engagement perspective. So SmartCast, our overall operating platform, has seen an 87% increase in engagement during this shelter-in-place period. And then as far as free ad-supported apps, overall engagement with those is also up over 108% during that same period. So consumers are finding this, they're loving it, they're engaging. And to your point, Colin, it's really about that SmartCast interface where we have that huge hero banner, which proudly featured Endemol Shine's content right when we launched. And it draws users in, really helps them find what they're looking for so that that engagement increases.
Yeah, it seems to me that that's, as I said at the beginning, the thing about linear is it's so immediate and requires much less thought. There's no decision, well, there's much less decision to make. The decision is, do I go to another channel? That seems to really be resonating with your viewers. What about engagement time with the channels? How are you seeing engagement time?
We're seeing very, very long engagement times. Of course, it varies in some cases based on whether a consumer is on kind of a snackable, bingeable type channel where it might be 30-minute episodes or 1-hour episodes versus movies. But those engagement periods are well exceeding an hour per day for those users that are engaged, significantly over an hour. So we're really pleased with that.
Yeah, and of course, the more viewing, the more ads they see. So that's all to the positive for everybody, I guess.
It absolutely is. And one of the things that Kasia kind of touched on is why having this type of a relationship, right, direct with the TV OEM is a solution. And for us, it's absolutely that we have an advertising solution in place. And as I say, so that your content can work for you. If you have that licensed content, you want to monetize it. And VIZIO has the ability to do that both programmatically and through a huge direct ad sales team that's really making noise in market.
Right, right. So we'll definitely get to the advertising piece in just a second. So Kasia, can you talk, one of the things you said that was actually very, very interesting was it was very easy to get on the watch free service from VIZIO. Talk us through that. Talk us through why you meant it's very easy. What was so easy about it?
So as I said, first of all, it's the product itself. I would say it's a sort of flexibility of moving between big TV screen and mobile, the most important devices at the moment. Obviously, in US, it's the TV screen that is still the sort of leading screen. However, in some Asian countries, it's the mobile that is driving advertising views. And I have no doubt that very quickly, over the next couple of years, mobile will become equally important as TV. Second of all, is just the ability to reach the viewers in a very easy way. You pretty much end up on the, on the tool, on the TV set, which is right in the center of the living room. It's already there. Viewers are used to it. Viewers are used to technology, to the interface. People are sort of creatures of habit. They're used to watching linear television. So if you've got an EPG and ability to watch TV, they would prefer it, but as you say, just moving between boxes. And also the search and the discovery function, which again are so easy, plus ability to actually advertise and do the sort of promotion on a start page. It just creates this really good consumer-centric environment where we know we can just get our content on the platform and then be able to very easily reach the consumer. Because as Katherine says, the way we look at it, our job starts at the moment once we deliver that content on the platform. Delivery is one thing. Second thing is just making sure you can find your user and your viewer on this platform very quickly and retain him and just keep on droning them back in. And that's why actually VIZIO is such a good platform for us.
Right. So one of the things that comes across so well in the interface is it's so familiar. It's very easy to use. So discovery is very easy on the platform because you're just leveraging mechanisms that we're all used to. Can we talk about search for a little bit? Do you provide unified search inside of Webcast? So when I search, it'll show me the free assets where things are available, as well as the on-demand and some of the Netflix services, etc. How does that work?
Yeah, so VIZIO, actually, we do have a universal search and discovery experience that's a part of our SmartCast platform. And that's a result of our content part providing metadata for us to include in that experience. The vast majority of our content partners participate in that for exactly the reason that we've been talking about here, which is they want to get their content in front of the user when they're looking for that content. And it's even better if it's right there on the SmartCast home screen before they do a search. But once they do a search, let's make sure that we can surface it and show it to them. We're always building out that experience. We're always adding new metadata behind that, whether that's recommendations, whether that's more detail about ratings, and adding additional content partners to that experience to really aid in search and discovery.
Right. The metadata is a difficult issue, right, Kasia, because it's a bit of a mess out there, right? Everybody demands different types of metadata and in different formats. But I'm guessing that wasn't too big of a deal for you with VIZIO?
No, it wasn't. And we know the importance of metadata. We know the importance of artwork as well. So our team is very highly dedicated of effectively working with VIZIO, working with our partners and making sure we get the right metadata. We provide new pieces of artwork every couple of months because we know that, as I said, it's, the work starts once you get on this platform, and it's about this constant ability to read it for viewers to rediscover you and not just just be a new content you launch and then 3 months from now it will be forgotten. So we've invested very heavily in making sure we provide the best possible metadata, and we also, I would say, once every month we probably produce about 500 pieces of artwork to make sure we continuously refresh it on the platform.
Yeah, I did a survey in the UK, Sweden, and Germany last year, and it amazed. One of the questions I asked was how important the artwork was in search and discovery, and it amazed me how important people found the artwork in closing the deal, in getting them to actually engage with content. So that turns out to be a very, very important part that I think we maybe don't think about that much. I wanted to pick up something else that you said. You have a number of distribution channels available to you, many distribution channels available to you. One of them you mentioned is social media. That's probably one of the areas that you went to first. So give us some context. How does the smart TV as a distribution channel fit into all of the panoply of distribution channels that you have available to you?
Well, as I mentioned, so the digital team at Endemol Shine, we've been around for about 3 years. And when our senior manager, so at first our, kind of traditional content licensing side of the business, obviously the sales of the catalog was going slightly down. The broadcaster were not particularly interested of relicensing the older shows. So this is when our senior management just decided to give it a go and try and go straight to consumers. As I've mentioned, we started with social platforms, which was extremely encouraging. But as the sort of connected TV space started growing, we realized that this is a new, much bigger opportunity. It's a mix of, obviously, between the sort of broadcaster and social platforms. And because we already had this experience with social platforms, it was quite easy to take this experience, mix it with a sort of more traditional approach. And as a result of this, we have our own channels, genre-based channels, like, for example, DIY Daily or Masters of Food or All Drama. We also rely very heavily on data. We measure performance of those channels. We measure performance of every single title level, where we actually see how long it takes for the title to kind of get to the top of the viewing, and then we re-optimize it. And we also, because, as I said, the AVOD, this space is growing so fast, so we're also working very closely with those platforms, trying to make sure we actually monetize the breaks as much as we can. So as I said, because it's such a mixed model, but at the same time, this TV set is in your home. People basically view you constantly. People are used to watching linear channels. That's what they want. And also people identify our brands very easily. And in a way, brands on its own are now becoming a single title destination on those TV shows. So one of our best performing single title channel, which is currently on VIZIO, is Deal or No Deal. It's a catalog. It's basically all the seasons of the very popular show. When we first launched it in early May, it immediately just skyrocketed. And within 1 month, at the moment, this one channel has delivered over 1 million hours viewed across the board. And it has almost an hour-long engagement. So this is just an enormous success, just showing you the power of connected TV.
A lot of social platforms, right?
Obviously it is. You've mix of the budget secured through media houses, but also the programmatic CPMs are much higher than on the social platforms. And over time, I do believe the model will develop similarly toward to the broadcast sort of ad sales model, where you will have sponsorships in place. You will also have ad-supported content. So I'm pretty sure the market is heading that way, and it's just really exciting to be there at the very, very beginning.
Very good. So Katherine, I have to ask you about, you mentioned that you provide ad support. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you do that? What sort of support you provide? Because obviously not everybody is as advanced as Endemol Shine. So talk to us about what sort of support you provide.
Yeah, absolutely. So VIZIO launched our VIZIO ads team toward the end of last year. But even before that, we were in the market programmatically, working with a variety of different partners to monetize the advertising inventory against this premium content that premium brands are looking for. And so what we've continued to do as we launched the VIZIO ads team at the end of last year is build out our direct sales team. We have a number of sellers, boots on the ground across the entire country. We've got all the major markets covered. These are people that have a ton of experience in monetizing CTV inventory. And we represent that inventory on behalf of our content partners. And what I think is really unique about VIZIO is that we are a small and nimble team. And so if Kasia wants to get on the phone and talk with our ad sales team about how are you talking about our inventory and market, or we have this new title and we want to make sure it's presented this way, our VIZIO ad sales team is available to do that. And we do that with our content partners all the time because it's so important to maintain CPMs. And the way that you do that is by ensuring that you're representing that brand in the way that they should be in the market.
So you can do both, you can support both direct relationships and programmatic relationships. Can you do local in some markets, in some DMAs as well?
Yeah, I mean, across the board, VIZIO's ad capabilities really are, they are exceeding kind of what I would say is going on in the industry, and we're continuing to grow those capabilities. So you'll see some new press releases coming out from us in the coming weeks here about some of those capabilities, some of the unique and differentiating things that we're doing with that content. And really, at the end of the day, that content partners like Kasia and Endemol are going to be able to benefit from because of the things that we're doing with measurement, or because of the capabilities that we're bringing into the space. So
let's talk about data here for a second. Oh, sorry, please, Kasia,
I can just add one thing, because exactly to what Katherine is saying. And that puts companies like ours, that gives us a lot of confidence to be able to release premium content, because it's just not a nameless platform when you put this content on and you kind of just hope, it will pop and you will make money. We can actually have this face-to-face discussion or phone call to phone call discussion. I can come to Katherine and say, look, I've got next season of Deal or No Deal. I've got next season of Wipeout. I've got Peaky Blinders. Do you think your guys would be able to properly monetize it? And then in turns give then the more assurance to the producers of that content that if they give it to me to develop a revenue shared model, that content will be properly monetized the same way as if they sold it to a broadcaster.
Very good. So there's an interesting question here from Steve LeBlanc. Thank you, Steve. And I remind you, please enter your questions into the Q&A window. He asks, For you, Kasia, he says, you've highlighted success with show-specific channels such as Deal and No Deal. Are you also developing genre channels with your inventory? And do you have any insights if a multi-show approach may have greater potential? So he has a side question, which maybe we'll save to the end. Go ahead.
Yes, we have developed our own genre-based channels. We cover several genres. I've mentioned already DIY Daily, we have Masters of Food, we have All Drama, we have Kids, Mr. Bean and Friends, and but all of this, obviously, the names speak for itself. As popular as those brands are, we actually are monetizing them quite well. But I have to be honest that we probably notice a single destination, a single title channels are performing better. And a part of this is that our brands are not household names. And on the social platforms like YouTube or Facebook, that doesn't really matter. And we just kind of relaunch those channels there as well. They're performing really well. However, we've realized that on connected TVs, that the viewers are more useful to bigger household brands, consumer brands. So we probably have to figure out how to make sure that our sort of digital first brands are sort of equally standing out, and we can promote them and just get consumers sort of more comfortable that content there is actually really strong content.
Right. Yeah, go ahead, Katherine.
I was just going to say, I would add to that from my perspective, some of the success that we've seen in market, not just across Endemol Shine content, but across these types of channels generally, right, is those single series channels really do very, very well with consumers. And that's part of where you see those long average view time sessions grow and grow, because it really is something that they're binging on. But as we continue to grow, we've launched 70 of these channels, of the VIZIO free channels just since February. As we increase that number, we are going to continue to start programming channels that take content from different licenses and can produce a genre-based channel, let's say a cooking channel or a kids channel or something like that. You're going to be seeing us do more and more of that in the market.
Very good. So actually, there's one question I want to throw out to both of you, and we've sort of been talking around it, and I wanted to drill in more specifically, and that's the issue of data. Katherine, obviously you have a great deal of data that you're able to derive on these channels. So can you talk about the sort of data that you see? You don't have to get into specifics of performance, but the sort of data that you're looking at. And then I'll bounce it over to Kasia, and she can talk about the data that she sees from you. So please, what sort of data are you gathering?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that's really key here from a content owner perspective is that we have that visibility into channels beyond their channels. So, Kasia and I can have a conversation about what channels that she has already licensed to us or that we've already launched, what channels are doing well. But I see that across a consumer, across everything in an anonymous fashion, of course, which enables us to go back and say, hey, this type of content really resonates with VIZIO consumers. What else do you want to launch? What else is going to do well, right? We are looking at hours viewed. We're looking at genres that perform well, shows that perform well. We talked earlier about creatives as well, and making sure that that creative resonates. We are always doing A/B tests. Which type of creative? Is it a creative with a known, not just the title, but a known character or a known celebrity persona that gets that higher click-through? And we'll try multiple different celebrities. We try all kinds of things to really build that performance, and we track and we share very transparently with our content partners so that we can have a robust relationship and dialogue there.
Very good. So Kasia, data, are you, well, I don't want to cause any antagonism, but you're obviously getting plenty of data back from VIZIO about the performance of the channels. How are you using that data to inform what you do next?
Well, so that's another thing I would say, which is quite unique about our digital team. The data is very much at the center of everything we do. So when we partner with platforms like VIZIO, we always try to be able to get API access to our own data, obviously, to the hours viewed. So that is basically the kind of basic element for us. And then based on this, exactly as Katherine is saying, we're doing the same. We're tracking performance on channels level, individual titles level. We try to understand what genres are performing better. We try to identify so-called premium versus long tail content, which means helps us then identify how many of those premium titles we need to provide to keep the performance growing, and how much of the long tail we still need to ensure that there is a constant viewers that keep on coming back to us. We understand how long for each title it takes to kind of get to the top before we re-optimize, and then A/B testing and constant update of metadata. And we're having then the quite regular discussions with our partners based on this. We also then advise what other titles or what other channel genres we think would perform well based on our experience in with some other platforms. Obviously, it's all anonymous. Obviously, we all kind of do it internally, but it helps us to get a bigger picture and understand how we can help our partners grow that business.
So I wonder, one of the things that you're doing right now is you're monetizing your extensive library in this mode, but you're still reserving your creative process for new shows is still going primarily to television. So thinking forward, do you think that we could get to a stage where you might premiere shows in a digital environment, maybe on a VIZIO TV?
Well, obviously, Endemol is such a powerhouse when it comes to the production that, in a way, you know, it's like bringing woods to the forest. I wouldn't be able to develop or produce something myself. I would definitely go and ask my colleagues for help. However, if, let's say, the business model develops that way, if there is a bigger opportunity, advertisers or VIZIO coming to us saying, look, we think if we produce a show, that show will be able to actually earn significant revenues, I would definitely bring my colleagues from creative networks and have this joint discussion. Because I genuinely believe going forward, as the ad sales model will mature for connected TVs, ad-supported content will be definitely one of the sort of pillar of the growth here.
Right. So Katherine, that actually brings up another interesting question. Obviously you have a lot of SVOD services available inside of SmartCast. I've noticed that some of those properties, for example, CuriosityStream is also producing linear channels in some respects. Now, I don't want to ask you specifically about CuriosityStream, but this seems like a great opportunity, right? You can use a free channel in the Watch Free to sort of promote a premium service inside of, you know, also running on that television. Is this something that you're looking at and maybe making a more direct connection between? To talk us through what you're seeing there and if that's an area that you're interested in moving in.
Absolutely. It's definitely of interest. It's something that we're seeing a strong interest from, especially with networks in the space. If they have the ability to kind of put together a Barker channel, as you might call it, to talk about their content, to showcase some of their content outside of that paywall, and then to bring users either into a TVE app or to bring them into a subscription-based app, specifically on our VIZIO platform. And again, that's the beauty of being smart TV. We have the ability to do those things in a way that you can't on any other platform. And when I talk to content owners or licensors and talk about that opportunity, it's really about them being able to keep that user, that consumer in their experience and in their content for as long as they want to. And, you know, we're happy to help them do those types of things because obviously, you know, in the case of this deal, we're talking about how we represent that inventory and what those opportunities are and what the great consumer experience is. So, right.
So Kasia, this is an interesting area as well for you because thinking about it, Deal No Deal, tremendous interest, lots of people watching that. Have you thought about using these free channels to actually promote and boost interest in a current show that's on TV, regular TV?
There is definitely more and more interest from our colleagues in creative networks who are responsible for the for those new productions. I think especially now with Deal or No Deal, which became such a big success, I think now the potential of this is seen by a broader company. So we are now trying to figure out how we can sort of cross-promote on what can be done there to do it. But I think in a way, it was such an early days that it's only now, I think the company is just waking up to the opportunity. So we definitely will be looking into the opportunities there.
Very good. So I've got one more question for both of you, and then we're going to move to audience Q&A. So if you could keep your answer a little bit short, not fantastically short, but I wanted you to think forward a little bit. And let's think where we think this opportunity for linear on smart TVs may lead in 1 or 2 years. So why don't we start with you, Katherine? What are some of the exciting things that you're hoping to see in this space?
Yeah, as we continue to kind of press down the road here, I think what Endemol has done is they have, as I've said before, premium content, premium brands that advertisers want to advertise against. And I want to see VIZIO have the opportunity to continue to offer that content, those types of brands to consumers in this free ad-supported environment. Really growing out that library as an organization, offering that to consumers. And then I think on the advertising side of things, you're going to continue to see capabilities grow across measurement, across capabilities, across dynamic abilities. And I really think that that's this market. I was reading something this weekend that said the AVOD market is by 2025, the billions of dollars that are going to be invested here are just tremendous. And I really think these types of relationships are just going to continue to grow, and you're going to see that acceleration.
Very good. Kasia, what do you think?
Equally, I think that platforms like VIZIO will become a super aggregator, aggregating not only video, but also music and gaming. Also the sort of the ability to monetize that content really quickly through either, AVOD or e-commerce or in-app sales. And I think all of this sort of will become a major aggregation platform with a really kind of fast search and discovery function, which will help people find specific titles they are looking for. Because I think that's what it will come down to in the end, just search and discovery function.
Yeah. And there simply is no easier way if you have a smart TV to watch TV with this one remote, connect to Wi-Fi, and away you go. Okay, so we have lots of questions that we're going to talk about. So if you have a question, you've still got time, get it in that Q&A window. Laura, can we put the poll up, please? And please scroll all the way down. There's an extra bonus question in there for fun. So make sure you get that question as well. Now, let's start with some of the questions. Mark Rashba, he asks, he's from Movie Method. He says, has Endemol and VIZIO looked at turning the channel a channel into an e-commerce channel too, where I can buy Peaky Blinder merchandise directly on the TV? This sounds like a future thing. Obviously, you can't comment on specifics here, but is this something that you guys have been talking about?
I'll speak on behalf of VIZIO as far as when we talk about the opportunities that are here. This is absolutely something that is kind of the holy grail, is the idea of getting content in front of consumers, advertising against it, and making it this seamless transactional opportunity. So it's absolutely top of mind for us.
Right, Kasia?
I would say exactly the same. That's something that we definitely would be aspiring to do over time. Again, as the markets catch up, as the technology develops, we definitely would love to look into sort of models like that.
Very good. So Gail Dickey, she asks, now I don't know if you can answer this, Kasia, but I'll ask it and then maybe we can talk about it in general terms. She says, in terms of the content, is it exclusive or non-exclusive? And if it's exclusive, would you entertain the non-exclusive content that has I guess in the 18 to 35 demo? That's the general question. So is it non-exclusive or exclusive? Can you answer that question?
As a rule, the digital team, we make sure that content is non-exclusive and it's basically available across the board to all our partners.
So how would you, let's broaden that out. Are there circumstances where you might consider an exclusive deal?
It's a tough question.
Bit of an awkward question.
Let's just put it like that. If partner like VIZIO came up to us saying, look, we would really love to launch Peaky Blinders, we think we have a potential sponsor, we probably would be able to create some kind of opportunity of exclusivity window for a couple of months. But as I said, as a rule, as a company rule, we want to make sure the content remains non-exclusive to all our partners.
Very good. Okay, Katherine, there's one here for you. VIZIO is a great distribution partner for Pluto TV. How many of the watch-free linear channels are Pluto TV channels? I don't know if you want to comment on that specifically, but maybe you can talk about your relationship with Pluto TV.
Sure. So Pluto TV powers VIZIO's watch-free experience. And since I think I said February, we've launched about 70 channels outside of that experience that we've called VIZIO free streaming channels. And as Kasia said, you know, we've been able to launch those very, very quickly and bring those on platform in a relatively short amount of time. And that's something that we're looking forward to being able to continue to do.
Very good. So, well, as usual, I've not been able to get to all my questions, and I'm afraid we're not going to get to all of your questions in the audience, but we will look at the poll results. So, Laura, can we close the poll out and can we take a look at the results? Okay, so the first question I asked was, ultimately, do you think the smart TV will be all that we need? And the plurality says yes. 22% said no. And of those that said yes, nearly half thinks it will take a few more years rather than a decade or more. So I guess that's kind of good news, right, Katherine?
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good. So and the next question, should local traditional TV broadcasters be working with smart TVs, Pluto TV, Xumo and others to distribute their channels? Wow. 88% say they think they should. I got to tell you, I'm in total agreement. I have a feeling that you would be pretty happy about that too, Katherine.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you're not already here, we're happy to have the conversation, right? So we'd love to continue to expand that offering.
And this question, Kasia, really sort of emphasizes how the differences between traditional and non-traditional, should we call it non-traditional, the lines are just blurring, aren't they?
Yeah, the lines are blurring really, really fast. And in a way, it's all moving so fast. So I don't think anybody in media has any choice right now just to kind of get on a wagon and tries to catch up with where the market is going.
Yeah, I know some of the local broadcasters and their parents, like Tegna and Sinclair, they're already doing stuff that sort of wraps those local stations. So I would think that this would almost be, well, I hesitate to say a no-brainer. It's never a no-brainer in television, but I think bringing local stations into this environment would be really healthy for everybody. Okay, so what is the biggest barrier to TV ad dollars transferring to online distribution? So it looks like buying across distribution platforms is the most popular answer here, 44%, and it looks like no standards for accounting for performance. So Kasia, you're probably best placed to talk about this. It's just tough, right? There are so many different platforms. It must be very difficult for you to manage them all.
Yeah, and I do agree here. It's that there is no single currency and no single way of measuring performance. And I think until the sort of industry insights and ad sales catch up with the rest of the market, that probably will be the biggest barriers to entry. Right.
And Katherine, a bit of an awkward question, but this no standards for accounting for performance, it's a real problem. I guess it's kind of a problem for you too, because you kind of have to make it up as you go along, right?
I would agree that it's a challenge that the industry is facing, but what I would say is VIZIO is very, very committed to transparency. And that's one of the things that that's one of the messages that we've been out in the market with and that we're going to continue to work on. So if that means implementing different measurement techniques, working together with major industry leaders in that respect, we're there to do that because that's what matters to advertisers. So it's absolutely something that the industry as a whole has to solve, but that VIZIO is tackling already today.
Very good. And the last question, and I'm going to ask my panelists this question as well. If you were stuck on an island and could watch only one comedy show driven channel, which would you pick? Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Happy Days, Cheers, which wins 34%, Scrubs, or Parks and Rec. So, Katherine, which would you pick?
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
You would? Kasia, what about you?
Scrubs.
Scrubs? You know, I think it would be tough between Scrubs and Parks and Rec for me. All right, we are done. Thank you, Kasia. Thank you, Katherine, so much. Thank you, audience, for your questions and comments. Sorry that we didn't get to them all, but great session. Thank you. And back over to you, Ned.
Colin, what about Seinfeld?
You know, there's a lot of shows I could have put up there.
Great session, guys. Thanks, Kasia, Katherine, Colin. Really appreciate the dynamic discussion today. We'll be back tomorrow at noon Pacific with our Future of Entertainment show. So have a great day. See everybody.
Thanks for having us. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.